If you remain, I'll ruin this marriage. My mother-in-law warned me the moment I tried slipping free of her grip.
Fine. Do it your way.
I smirked. She beamed when my husband spoke of divorce, but as he continued, her face collapsed.
What?
Have you lost your senses? I'm Charlotte. I'm 31, working as a project coordinator in a mid-level architectural office in Seattle. I've always taken pride in staying cool under strain, tight deadlines, demanding clients, sudden blueprint edits. I could manage all of it. What I couldn't brace for was the emotional wreckage that came with marriage. Half a year ago, I wed David. He was in IT when I first joined the firm. The quiet man who repaired your system without ever making you feel foolish. We weren't close, yet I remembered his warmth. That shifted a year ago. Both of us got placed on a cross-department digital overhaul. We began chatting first about tasks, then about songs, then about life. He was steady, wryly funny, and calm. When the project wrapped, we still grabbed coffee. By spring, we were together. By fall, engaged. David proposed with a plain silver band and a rambling note ending with, "Life beside you just feels right." It felt perfect. No warnings, no chaos. For once, love looked simple. For weeks, it was. We moved into a snug 2-bedroom rental along a leafy block. I bought cookware. He built our shelf. We divided chores easily. And then, almost suddenly, a third presence entered our union, his mother, Sarah. At first, I brushed it off. Sarah dropped by with a casserole. She brought lemon muffins one Sunday. She'd call and say, "Thought I'd swing by." I'd smile politely, even when she lingered too long. But within 2 weeks, she began arriving daily. I'm not kidding. Every weekday, sharp at 5:10 p.m., the bell rang. I'd be home, shoes off, halfway through slicing vegetables, and there she was, flawless makeup, eyes sweeping the kitchen like a commander on inspection. "Risotto, again," she sneered on Tuesday. "You really think David should eat the slop?" I blinked. "It's his favorite." "Darling, favorite doesn't mean healthy. A proper wife makes a protein, a starch, and 2 sides. In my day, dinner meant effort." I forced a grin. I'd planned salmon later in the week. "And what's this?" She rifled through my reusable bag. "Store-brand olive oil." "Absolutely not. You need organic. The chemicals in this stuff." I yanked the bottle back. "I'm trying to save money." Sarah gave a slow, pitying glance. "Saving is what women do when preparing for a baby. Unless that's not your aim." That was only day 4. By day 8, she wasn't even knocking. She'd slip in with a spare key for emergencies and lounge around. "I came early," she said once, feet up on our sofa, flipping through my design magazines. "I figured you wouldn't care." I cared, but worse than barging in were the remarks. Subtle, sharp stings disguised as advice. "You're still at full-time work. No wonder you're not pregnant. Some women just weren't trained to be homemakers, I guess. Not really your fault. If stress overwhelms you, maybe David should have picked someone simpler." Each jab wore me down. I told David many times. "She just needs time," he insisted. "Time to what?" I asked. "We're not living with her. She's crossing into our life. I'll speak to her." But nothing changed. She kept arriving, kept judging, kept crying. Soon I began avoiding home. I stayed late at the office, even when tasks were done. I'd sit at a cafe across the street, sipping overpriced coffee just to waste time. It drained me both emotionally and financially. When my boss noticed, he pulled me aside. "You know, we don't cover overtime, right?" he said softly. I nodded. "I just like the silence here." He gave me a knowing look, one that said there's more, but I won't pry. Still, I knew something had to shift. One Friday, I finally went home on schedule. Enough hiding. Enough delays. I had to face her directly. As I walked up the path toward our porch, there she stood, smug at the door like she owned the house. "Oh look, the runaway wife returns," she sneered. "Tired of hide and seek, are we?" I stayed silent. She trailed me in, instantly rummaging through my grocery bags. "More risotto fixings?" she mocked. "Do you even know what real nutrition is?" I turned slowly. Sarah, enough. Stop. Stop what? Barging in, belittling me, dictating my marriage. This isn't helping. Her face tightened. You think I'm the issue? I drew an air. You enter our home uninvited. You slam my meals, my career, my body. You treat me as a placeholder until some better wife shows up. Her eyes narrowed. David is my son. I raised him with standards. You're just a career woman, no motherly instinct. Of course you're barren. Too buried in spreadsheets to bear children. I stiffened. I'm not childless because of work. I'm childless because I'm drowning in stress. And most of that comes from you. That landed.
For once, she paused.
Then she leaned in, whispering venom. You dare answer back. Fine. You defy me? Then leave. Divorce David now. I won't end my marriage just because you can't respect limits. No, she said, stepping closer. You will divorce him because I'll force it. If you stay, I'll torch this marriage to ash. And David? He'll trust me before you. Something broke in me. Calmly, I smiled. Fine, I said. You want me gone? You'll have it. I grabbed my coat, strode past her, and got into my car. Not to run, but to fight. I drove straight to City Hall. I didn't file divorce, but I requested the documents. Then I texted David. We need to talk. It's about your mother. Meet me in 30 at Alder Cafe. That night would turn the tide. For once, fear was gone. I was ready. David entered the cafe 5 minutes late, breathless, like he'd sprinted. His cheeks flushed, hair mussed, eyes darting until they landed on me. I sat in back, hands folded, phone face down. He slid into the booth. What happened? He asked. Are you all right? Is it Mom? I tilted my head. No time to waste. His face tightened. That bad? Instead of words, I unlocked my phone and tapped. His mother's voice poured out in the small cafe. You think I'll let you ruin my son? You're a mistake. If you don't quit, I'll tell your boss you want to. Divorce him, or I'll wreck your life. David froze. Lips parted, no sound. I looked up and caught it, disbelief, yes, but also shame. He reached for the phone. I pulled it back. I've been recording her all week, I said coolly, because I knew you wouldn't believe me without proof.
He shook his head.
I never thought she'd go that far. I knew she was forceful, but she's not forceful, David. She's abusive, manipulative. She's actively destroying our marriage and career. He rubbed his brow. I should have listened. Yes, I said. But now you know. So, what will you do? Silence hung sharp as wire. Then he asked, what do you want me to do? I breathed deep. If you want to save us, we have to burn it first. His eyes snapped to mine. Burn it? It means we divorce, formally. Then rebuild on our rules. No Sarah, no chains, no pretending. He sat quiet, long minutes passing. At last, he said, let's do it. Together, we went to the clerk's office. We filled forms, showed IDs, signed lines. No fight, no tears, just signatures. I thought I'd break when I wrote petitioner, but instead I felt steady, almost sharpened. 25 minutes later, we stood at the same counter. We'd like to file a marriage license, I said. The clerk blinked. You just filed for divorce. Yes, I replied. Now where are we marrying? She stared like we were either clever or crazy, then nodded. Legally, you can, since the divorce isn't finalized yet. We filled the forms again. At the name section, David hesitated, glancing at me. Do you want to keep Miller? I paused, then shook my head. No, that name was never mine. I want to be myself again. His lips curved. Then I'll join your family. And just like that, David took my last name. We left not just a couple but a new unit, a reset, our contract, not hers. We planned the reveal carefully. No call, no warning. Instead, we phoned ahead to his parents' house and said we'd visit Sunday. She sounded thrilled, too thrilled. She thought she'd won. When we arrived, Sarah opened the door dressed in pearls and pastel pink. Lipstick perfect, perfume thick, smile staged. Well, she sang. Looks like someone regained her senses. I stayed blank. Inside, the room was spotless, a plate of cookies untouched on the coffee table. In his recliner, David's father, Adam, flipped through the paper, ignoring the storm. Sarah faced us sweetly. Let's be civil. All marriages hit bumps. I'm just glad you came back to talk. David's jaw locked. I touched his hand gently. The moment had come. He stepped forward. We did talk, he said. And we chose. Sarah tilted her head. Oh. David looked at me, then back. We filed for divorce. Her smile faltered, but held. Well, I'm not shocked. I always thought. And then, he cut in, we remarried. To each other. That struck. Her eyes flicked before her words caught. I'm sorry, what? I took her last name, David added. Legally. Her face broke fully. You changed your name to hers?
Yes.
For a clean start, without your shadow. Her voice cracked. You ungrateful. She forced a laugh. David, don't be absurd. I stepped forward. This isn't about names. It's about limits. Yours no longer exist in our lives. You think you can walk into my family, she snapped, and order me around? In my own home. I met her eyes. I think I can hold you liable for harassment. Because that's exactly what this is. Oh, please, she scoffed. What will you do? Sue me? I didn't answer. I pulled out my phone, tapped play. Her own voice filled the room. If you don't leave, I'll burn this marriage down. He'll believe me over you. Sarah's gaze darted to the speaker. For a split second, she looked ready to snatch it, but another voice cut in. Adam stood. He moved with slow precision, folding his paper neatly onto the table. The air shifted, heavier, sharper. Sarah turned, her face cracking. Adam, she said too lightly. You're not buying this garbage. I heard your voice, Sarah, he said, cutting her short. We all did. She blinked. It's doctored. Phones distort everything. David stepped forward. Don't lie, Mom. I've heard you say these things all my life. The only change is now someone recorded it. Sarah's smile shrank into a snarl. You'd choose her over your own mother? Adam's gaze stayed steady. Then he turned to me. Charlotte, he said. I owe you an apology. I froze. No one should have endured that, he continued. Especially not someone who joined this family in good faith. You didn't deserve it. A lump rose in my throat. I nodded. Thank you. Sarah scoffed. What is this? A court now? Am I being judged? I asked. No, Adam replied. But if you ever set foot in their house again, I'll file for divorce. The room fell utterly silent. Sarah's mouth opened, but nothing came out. You can't mean that, she finally gasped. I do, he said plainly. You've spent years tormenting those around you, me included. I tolerated it too long. Not anymore. You can't live without me, she whispered. Adam let out a quiet chuckle. That's always been your line. But I think we both know I've been getting by despite you. Not because of you. Sarah looked from him to our son to me. For once, she was speechless. Her face went slack, like she'd lost her map of reality. We didn't linger to comfort her. David and I turned and left, not angry, not triumphant, simply finished. The next morning we started apartment hunting. The place we picked wasn't glamorous. A smaller kitchen, older windows but bright, thick walls, and a front door only we could unlock. We painted every wall ourselves. David insisted on deep navy in the bedroom so it would always feel like night. I chose a pale sage for the living room, soft and calming. We didn't tell Sarah. We didn't share the address. She emailed twice, half apology, half blame, and I didn't reply. She tried no more. Adam, though, rang and asked if he could come alone. He arrived with lasagna. Awkward at first, then slowly warmer. He said he wanted to be part of our lives without the noise. He never mentioned Sarah. We didn't ask. We silently agreed some things should stay buried. 3 months later, everything shifted. Mid-meeting at work, I realized I hadn't drunk coffee in days. Caffeine suddenly made me queasy. I blamed stress, or bad milk. Then I cried at a dog food commercial. On the way home, I grabbed a pregnancy test without thinking. Before dinner, I took it. 2 lines. I sat on the tub's edge stunned, the stick trembling in my hand. David knocked. When I opened the door and he saw the test, he froze. Is it? I nodded, tears pooling. He said nothing. He just wrapped me in his arms and held me like I might break or fly. The pregnancy was calm. No complications. I worked until the 3rd trimester, then shifted to remote consulting. David rearranged his schedule to make appointments. Adam came twice, sat in the waiting room with a magazine, then brought sandwiches afterward. When our daughter arrived, we named her Clara, my grandmother's name, soft, strong, simple. Sarah learned through Adam. She sent a gift basket without a card. I gave it away unopened. Once she tried to show up at the hospital unannounced. Nurses kept her out and she waited in the parking lot for over an hour until Adam spoke to her and she left. That was her last attempt. Clara's first year was peaceful. No surprise visits, no fights. Only the tender rhythm of new parenthood. Feedings, midnight cries, sleepy smiles, tiny socks. Adam visited often with pre-sliced bananas, small picture books, or stories. Sometimes he stayed for dinner, sometimes just a quiet hug, always asking first. One evening after Clara slept, David handed me a wrapped present. What's this? I asked. Something I've been making, he said. Inside was a leather photo album. Us painting, standing outside the courthouse with our second license, the first sonogram, Clara's tiny hand around David's finger. On the inside cover he'd written, "Our family, not inherited, built." I traced the words and whispered, "Thank you." He asked, "For what?" "For choosing me," I said. He simply kissed me, like he meant it, like the past was closed and the future ours. And that's how it stayed. We kept our names, our keys, our boundaries. Sarah never crossed the line again. This time the door wasn't just closed. It was locked. And we held the only key. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info.